Hi guys, and welcome to this other video. So today we are going to talk about FortiGate firewall authentication. So FortiGate firewall authentication. So in this video we are going to we're going to talk about the traditional firewall authentication methods, the pro and the cons, so use cases, and we do some practical case with an LDAP server on Active Directory. So when we talk about firewall authentication methods, there are basically two authentication methods with FortiGate firewall. So we have the default, which is the local authentication. It means here you have the credentials are already stored on the FortiGate firewall. So each user account is already stored on the FortiGate firewall. So when connecting, is the FortiGate firewall that is the authentication server at the same time. So you will check the information in its database. Then if the credentials are good, then it will let the user get access to the firewall and have access to whatever is configured, what permission or what access he has on the server as management. So for the local authentication, the credentials are stored locally. It is suitable for when you're having just one local FortiGate firewall. That is the main inconvenience of the local authentication. You need to manually create accounts on the firewall. While on the other hand, when you have a server-based authentication, the credentials are stored on a remote server. It means the FortiGate firewall is not the authentication server. It sends the request to a remote server, which verifies the credential, then answer back to the firewall to confirm if the credentials are good or no. So the server-based authentication is suitable for multi-firewall environment. So it is good for centralizing the user management, and it's also good because it provides granular access control that you can control from, let's say, from Active Directory. You can control the groups in which you put you include each user with some permissions on what they can access to. So this is a good method of authentication. And also with this one, you have a centralized management, as we said. So about the authentication points here with server-based authentication, the authentication points are mainly LDAP servers like Windows Active Directory. You also have reduced servers. You also can authenticate with Exchange server as like POP3, or you can also use a Tacat Plus server. So talking about authentication, as we said, for the local authentication, we have the user who sends a request to the FortiGate firewall, and the credentials are already stored on the FortiGate firewall. So the FortiGate will check if the credentials are good, then it will let the user get in. For the second image is for the remote server. It means, for example, if you're having like an Active Directory server in which you have user accounts and groups, so you've already configured some settings there. So when a user tries to connect to the FortiGate, he'll provide his user and password. Then the FortiGate will say, I don't know this information because this information is not stored locally on the FortiGate firewall. But with the configuration or the setting that is done on the FortiGate firewall, the request will be redirected to the appropriate remote server, which in turn will check and see if these credentials are good. Then we respond back to FortiGate. If the credentials are good, then FortiGate will let the user get access. Otherwise, he will inform the user that the credentials are not good. So what we are going to do in our practical test here is configuring LDAP. So we are going to do server-based authentication with LDAP server for Active Directory. So what we are going to do here is we've already prepared our Active Directory. So we've configured and prepared a group of users in Active Directory. Also, it is recommended to create a dedicated admin account or a service account that is going to be used on the FortiGate. So you create the service account from the Windows server. So from the FortiGate side, we are going to have 3 tasks to do. Like we need to add the LDAP server. This is how and where we need to do this. You add the user group and you add the LDAP admin users. So an additional information is that if, for example, by default, the configuration that we use on for LDAP is the default LDAP, which is not the LDAPs with the secure LDAPs with SSL certificate. So it is recommended that for enhanced security, we should instead use LDAPs so that we can encrypt communication between the FortiGate firewall and the Active Directory server. So if you want to do like the configure the LDAPs, you need to install like a SSL certificate, a trusted certificate on the FortiGate firewall. And you need to configure the Active Directory server so that it can use the LDAPs on port 636 instead of the default LDAP on the 389 port. So for our lab environment, what we have here is we have our LDAP server, which is a Windows Server 2022 standard, on which we've installed the Active Directory Domain Controller or ADDS service. We configure a lab environment. This is the IP address. We've also created a FortiGate or a Forti admin group, and we included 2 users. So for the other side, you have our FortiGate, that is the FortiGate VM. So it's run the firmware 7010. This is the IP. So if on this email, we just consider these 2 PC as being the 2 PC from where these 2 users are going to try to connect to the FortiGate with the credentials that are stored in the Active Directory. So here, let's go on. Let me show our environment here. So like here, let me connect on my Fortinet or my Windows server. So on my Windows server here, as I said, this is the environment that we've created. This is the IP address. This is the operating system here, Windows Server 2022 standard. So on Active Directory users and computers, we've created an organization unit OU, on which we created a FortiGate or Forti admin group. In this group, we've included 2 members, so John Doe and Michael Brown. So what we are going to do now is we are going to connect to our FortiGate firewall. FortiGate. So on our FortiGate firewall, what we need to do is go here under user and authentication. Then from here we take LDAP server. So from here we need to do create. So I'll call this LDAP server. So the IP address of our LDAP server of our Windows server is 192.168.2.100. So here on the common name identifier, what we are going to use here is going to be the SAM account. So say SAM account name. So here, before providing information about the distinguished name, we are going to select the bind type here as being regular. So here we are going to provide this where we need to use the account or the administrator account that we have on LDAP. Administrator account that can have access to the directory where we see the users of our Active Directory. So here, my domain name is lab. Then here I'll add the administrator account. Then I'll provide here the password. So when you provide this information, you can use this test connectivity here to see if this user account is authenticating actually to this LDAP server. So I'll say test connectivity. So it says successful. It means we have access with this account. So also I was talking about using LDAPs, so the secure LDAP. So if you intend to use the secure LDAP, here you need to enable this secure connection here. So from the secure connection here, you need to choose here LDAPs. So here you also need to, as we said earlier, you need to install a certificate, a trusted certificate on your FortiGate firewall. Then you install the certificate also on your LDAP server and configure it so that it can support LDAPs. So we will see how to do that in another video. So from here, after the authentication is successful, so now from here we browse. So normally if we browse here, we normally display us the directory where we have information of our active directory. So like here you have all the information. So all I need to do here is select this root, say okay. So I have the information here. So from here I'll say okay. So all is good now. I've added the LDAP server. The next step is to add the user group. So from here, what I need to do is to create, you see, you see under user and authentication, we go under user groups. Then from here, you say create new. So I'll say LDAP, let's call it like this, LDAP user group. Let's say like this. So from here, I'm going to select from here. So after mentioning the group name, the type is firewall. Then here, I'm not taking members from here. So you see, I don't take members from here, but instead I'll go on a remote group because I want the users to come from LDAP server. So I will select add from here. Then here I'll choose the LDAP server that we created earlier. So this is the LDAP server. So now the users that I want to get, that I want to allow them to get access to my FortiGate firewall, I want these users to be the ones that are actually in this organization using that we created area. So on the FortiGate, on the firewall, or on the Active Directory server. So if I just show here, here is our Windows server. On this Windows server, we have this FortiGate or organization unit that we create, in which we create this FortiGate FortiAdmin group. It is in this group that we have these members, these two members, that is the members that I need them to have access to the FortiGate firewall. So here from my firewall, I select this organization unit. Then from here, I select the group. So this is the group where I need to provide access. So I will right click, then say add selected. So I've added this group. So say okay. So here we have the group. So this is the only group where you need to the users who are in this group are the only one who I will be given access to my FortiGate firewall. So I'll say okay from here. So I've added my group. Next thing now is to add the admin account. So like now we need to give access to the users. So from here we go to administrators. From administrator, here you have the default local account. So this is the local account that comes by default on our FortiGate firewall. So now what I need to do is to provide remote access to other AD clients, so that AD users, so that they can access to this FortiGate firewall. Like I said, I don't want this user to be the only user who can have access to the FortiGate firewall. I want also remote administrators from Active Directory to have access to this firewall. So here, what I'm doing is create new administrator. So as I'm creating I'm creating an administrator group. I will call this LDAP admins. Let's say it like this, LDAP admins. So I want the users to match, this group to match all users in a remote server group. So I'll select this here. So from here, I will select the profile that I want to bind to this group. Let's say I want these users to be also super admin on this FortiGate firewall for now. So I'll select this. Then from here, I can select now the LDAP user group that I created previously. So I will select this. So now I'll say okay. So now I have this admin, which is a local administrator on the FortiGate firewall, and I have this LDAP admins, which are users who can access from their domain from Active Directory. So from now, normally I can connect with one of the two users. So from here, if I just disconnect this admin, this local administrator, then from here I'll put like John John.do. Then I put password for this user. So this is the Active Directory account. So I'll say log in. So here normally I can log in. So these settings I'll configure this later. So here we can see that this my user is actually connected. So John Doe from the Active Directory server can connect on our FortiGate firewall. So I can also try with another user, like the other one was Michael Brown. So just provide Michael.Brown, provide passwords, log in. Yeah, so Michael.Brown can also connect. So this is good. This test is good. So like this is how we created centralized Active Directory management. So from here, what we need to also know that is if from here you want to add like new users to the Active Directory environment, new users to access the FortiGate firewall, we just come here, we add new users on this group. Then from here, the users can get access to our FortiGate. So this concludes this video, guys. See you in the next video.